Okay, one more type of factoring, and this factoring is going to be factoring by substitution. Now, this one is a very specific type of factoring, and what you need is to have the variable or the largest variable, its exponent, be twice the other one. Okay? Or if you want, the smaller one is half of the larger one. Either way is fine. They both mean the same thing. Most people prefer it to say double. So same process here. We want to try to factor out the GCF if we can. In this case, it is impossible. So the next step is to do a U sub. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the U value and we're going to set it equal to the smaller of the variables. Now, notice that if we square both sides, what you get is U squared is equal to n to the 10th. But that is this one. So when we do the replacement, we get 2 parentheses plus 3 parentheses minus 9. This one goes where the orange is, which is going to be U squared because we're replacing it with U squared. And we replaced n to the 5th with U. Okay. So this is called a substitution. I, in particular, just call it the U substitution because you'll probably hear it later on when you go to a different class or a calculus classroom. So this is called the U sub. And notice that if we rewrite this thing out, it looks like something that we've already learned how to factor, either by guess and check or by grouping. So once you get through this entire step, it reverts back to a problem that you've already done. So the factors here are 2 and 1. The factors here are 9, 1, and 3 and 3. And what do they multiply together to add up or subtract to get to the 3? So we already know that the 2 and the 1 have to be here. And I think it's fairly reasonable to say that the 9 probably won't work. I don't know that offhand, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to try the 3 and the 3 first. So can we see 6 and 3 to get to this 3 is a subtraction. So when we write this out, again, write the parentheses. The variable goes here. Now be very careful. We're factoring this here. So the variable is a U. Okay? The numbers that go in front of the U's are 2 and 1, which is this 2 and that 1 again. This 2 gets multiplied to that 3, which is here. Whereas this 1 gets multiplied to that 3, and it should be a minus 3 because there's a minus attached to it. So this right here is the factored form of this box, right? But our original problem has variable n, not variable u. So you need to convert it back. But remember, u is n to the 5. So everywhere you see a u, replace it with n to the 5. And that's your factored form. Now, when you get to this part, make sure you double check it, because it is possible that this thing is still factorable. We do not know how to factor anything above a 2 degree unless it has this property. So once it's here, that is factored completely for our sake. So here, this problem is a problem that we haven't actually done yet. And what we need to do in the very beginning is factor out that minus 1. So write it as negative 1 times 2a to the 4th minus 13a squared plus 20. And all that factoring out a minus 1 does is change the sign. Now we can apply the u substitution onto that, where u is equal to the smaller exponent, a to the smaller exponent, And then if we square it, you square that one, which gives you the fourth. Exponents raised to exponents multiply together, so 2 times 2 is the 4. Now substitute back in. Here, just that one. And then here, which is that one. So negative times 2u squared minus 13u plus 20. And again, revert back to either guess and check or factor by grouping. So this one is going to be possible factors of 2 and 1, 20 and 1, 5 and 4, 10 and 2. And what are the numbers that I add together or subtract to get to that 13? So again, the first two are 2 and 1. And what can we do here to get 13? So again, I'm going to disregard the 20 because I think the 20 is going to give me something too big. And similarly with the 10, so I'm going to try the one in the middle first. And let's try that. If I add these together, I get 10. Sorry, multiply these together, I get 10. Multiply those together, I get 4. And nothing I can do with adding or subtracting will ever get me to 13. So let's try the other possibility, which is flipping the 2. This is 8. This is 5. And what can I do to get to the negative 13? And the way to do that is by making both of them negative. So negative 8 minus 5 is negative 13. So we write out the factors. Again, 2 parentheses. And the 2 goes in the front, the 1, and then the variable u. Again, because we are factoring this here. And don't forget the minus sign. So the 2 gets multiplied to the 4. So the 2 gets multiplied to the 4. It is a minus because we want it to be minus 8. And then we also have the minus 5 going in the other one because that's the only spot that it can go. And this is going to be the factored form of the box. But again, because we want our equation or our expression to be written in terms of a, we need to convert it back. So the the u values are given by a squared. So everywhere you see a u, convert it to a squared. This is a case where you actually have to factor some more. So this right here, which we'll learn in the next section, is actually a special type of factoring. It's called the difference of squares. But you don't actually need to know that in order to factor it. You can just do it the way that we've been doing it in the past couple videos. So the numbers here are 1, 1, 2, 2, 4, 1. The middle term is really 0a. So I want the numbers to add or subtract together so that I get 0. So can we see that there's a 2 and a 2? And in order for these two to cancel each other out, they have to be minus. So what we get is negative 2a squared minus 5. And then this one can be written as 2 factors. So this one part here is this one part here, where the a value and the 1, which is this part, and then this a gets multiplied to that 2, and that 2 is a positive, the other 2 is a negative. So the actual factored form of negative 2a4 plus 13a to the second minus 20 is this factored form right Okay, so let's just clean this bottom part up a little bit by getting rid of those minuses. Sorry, the ones. Because remember, we don't actually need the ones in the front.